On this week's episode of Ride the Lightning, the Tesla and EV podcast, Tesla will soon remove the option to purchase FSD outright. Plus, Model Y's design changes from last week, plus a couple more, come to the United States even sooner than expected. A California Supercharger station will soon expand to a record number of posts. Polestar shows some impressive growth, and more. What's happening, friends? I'm Ryan McCaffrey, joining you for episode 546 of your weekly Tesla and EV podcast. I call it Ride the Lightning. It's for January 18th, 2026. To my left, Daisy the Boxer. Just below me at my feet, chewing on a bone, is Lily the Silly Labrador. Hope you're all having a great week, wherever and whenever you are listening to this. And I want to start this week's podcast by once again acknowledging there's one more little fun development in my ongoing quest to see Bigfoot, aka the long-range rear-wheel drive Cybertruck that I've been somewhat half-jokingly questioning the real-life existence of. Thank you to Vitor in Florida, a listener who sent me photographic evidence, picture proof of that mythical long-range rear-wheel drive Cybertruck. I will say so, yes, now, all jokes aside, 100% believe that they did get delivered to actual customers. But at the same point, I will say, as a final point on this, I do genuinely wonder how many of them are actually out there. You know, they weren't on sale for very long. The Cybertruck just hasn't been selling super well relative to the other, well, at least relative to its expectations and relative to the 3 and the Y. And like I said, I haven't seen any here in my very Tesla-tastic San Francisco Bay Area at all. So I think we can probably safely add the long-range rear-wheel drive Cybertruck to the list of Tesla unicorns, which I've done a lightning round mini episode on for Patreon. Basically, I refer to very rare configurations of Teslas as Tesla unicorns. And I think we can add all of the long-range rear-wheel drive Cybertrucks to that list. Next time I see Franz, I'll have to ask him how many of those variant exist. I'm not sure he'll tell me on that one, but I am curious for sure. Something there is a lot of are superchargers in California, and specifically, there's going to be a whole lot more at one particular supercharger in California. So it seems as though the Tesla Oasis, as the company is calling it, the recently opened giant, world's largest, in fact, supercharger in Lost Hills, California, it's got 164 stalls. But it will not be the world record holder for very long. It will not hold the championship belt for much longer. Firebaugh, California, which is just a bit further north up Interstate 5 between Los Angeles and San Francisco, is getting a massive expansion and will take back the title. Now, it's worth pointing out, just as a fun little note here, for a time, this station, Firebaugh, which I've actually been to a couple of times, charged there a couple times, it was the world's largest supercharger for a minute when it first opened, with 56 stalls. So that's what I mean when I say it's taking back the title. So the news on this comes courtesy this week of our eagle-eyed, supercharging-loving friend Marco RP on X. He posted a picture of the site plan and said, quote, "A massive new supercharger expansion is coming soon to Firebaugh, California. Last month, Tesla was granted a conditional use permit for the addition of," and this is, let me just make sure I'm saying this very crystal clear, 232 stalls in the agricultural lots north of the existing site. The expansion will also feature 16 new mega chargers. So just to do the math for you here, remember I'm a trained journalist, so math is not my strong suit. That's 232 V4 superchargers going in, and 16 megachargers on top of the 56 V3 superchargers that are already there. That adds up to a grand total of 304 supercharging stalls. Now, granted, 16 of those can't be used by your car or mine, but still, 304 total fast-charging Tesla supercharging stalls. That is absolutely bonkers. Now, regarding the 16 megachargers, and just to, if you think, well, 16, that's not that much, picture it for a second. Picture 16 Tesla semis with fully loaded trailers, all parked there at the same time. That's a lot of real estate. Like, that's a lot. So Tesla Semi's program manager, Dan Priestley, posted a comment in response to Marco's post saying simply, quote, "Lots of trucks to electrify on I-5, end quote. So now the next thing I want you to do, because it's the same thought exercise I did, try to imagine this station being completely full. Like, try to imagine a lot of 300 plus, I mean, okay, what, 288, I guess, that cars can plug into. 288 passenger vehicle supercharging stalls that are entirely full. That's just like a giant parking lot, all charging up at the same time. That is crazy. It's it's pretty close to double what the aforementioned Tesla Oasis is with its 164 V4 chargers. Man, the Tesla charging team, they are cranking the dial up to 11 on fast charging infrastructure, particularly here in California, where, yes, we do have a much higher rate of EV adoption, but man, it's just, that is so cool, and I, for one, absolutely love it. Big salute to the Tesla charging team. Next up this week, as we continue to get warmed up, the Model 3 and the Model Y have been named Europe's safest new cars by Euro NCAP. That's the independent authority that, basically, their NHTSA, essentially, that's giving the safety ratings for new cars. Tesla took to their official Europe and Middle East account on X to say, quote, "Model 3 and Y both receive Euro NCAP's Best in Class award. Model 3 is the safest large family car. Model Y is the safest small SUV." Then the Euro NCAP organization itself said, quote, "Model Y proved the gold standard for small SUVs, specifically excelling in child occupant protection," that's big news for families, "and safety assist tests," Euro NCAP said. They continued with, "The updated Tesla Model 3 remains a leader in safety. The electric family car achieved high scores across the board and particularly impressed in child occupant protection. Its safety assist score shows Tesla's continued improvement of driver assistance safety features," and that was the end of their quote. Tesla's top engineer and friend of this podcast, Lars Moravy, commented on this, saying, quote, "Awesome results. Mighty thanks to the engineers, associates, techs, and whole team that make this real," end quote. Well said, Lars, on that one. And you know, when I talk about this, when I tell you this story, this will not surprise a single listener of this podcast, who all of you know about Tesla's track record when it comes to safety. But the thing is, for the non-enthusiast out there who's subjected to just one heaping pile of FUD after another, those people might, without any malice in their hearts, think that Teslas are death traps, right? The dichotomy between the, I hate to say it, semi-pervasive belief of what's out there and the actual reality that all of us know about, it's a stunning dichotomy. But as I've often said, the really neat, and I would say personally unheralded part about Tesla vehicles is that there's a few different entry points for the brand, for different kinds of people. If you're all about safety, like maybe you've owned Volvos in the past, well, there's your reason to buy a Tesla. if you're into tech, the regular free software updates and the ever-evolving autonomous driving features, well, that's another reason to buy a Tesla. If you're into performance, which I am, you can buy a Model 3 Performance, as I did, a Model Y Performance, a Model X Plaid, or the king of the Tesla brand, performance-wise, the Model S Plaid, or, in fact, the Cyber Beast, and that is your entry into the brand. If you're into sustainability and reducing your carbon footprint, being zero emissions, as all Teslas are, of course, that is obviously not unique to Tesla. It's true of all EVs, obviously, but that's yet another way into the brand for a lot of people. So my point is, you've got all of these factors that can appeal to wholly different kinds of buyers, and yet all of those different kinds of people end up choosing Tesla and end up happy doing so. But safety above all of them, I think we'd all agree, is the most important one. So congrats to Lars and his team for engineering the very safest cars on the planet. Well, this week's headline story, which I'll get to in a moment, is about FSD, and so was this week's Lightning Round mini episode over on Patreon. I compared FSD on my AI4 car to FSD on my AI3 car, since I am lucky enough to have one of each, both with FSD. So that's a topic that people have been asking me to do for a little while. I thought this week I would finally do it. So if you are kindly supporting my efforts here with Ride the Lightning over on my Patreon page, which you can find at patreon.com/Tesla Podcast, or just click the link in the episode description, I hope you'll check out and enjoy this week's Lightning Round mini episode, as well as the other 175 of them. So if you're just now going to join the Patreon, A, thank you, and B, make sure to dive into all of the rest of those Lightning Round mini episodes at your convenience, of course. The easiest way to find them is right from my Patreon page. Just click Collections at the top, and then once you get there, click Lightning Round, and it takes you to a page with every single Lightning Round mini episode on there. And reminder that you can support this podcast and what I do here for free each and every week. Every Sunday, a new episode comes out for the last 10 years and counting for just $5 a month. And for $5 a month, you will get an ad-free episode, and you'll get early access to that ad-free episode each week as a way of saying thank you for supporting what I'm doing. And if you join that $10 per month tier, that's the most popular one. You'll get the early access ad-free, and that's where you'll also get those 176 Lightning Round mini episodes, plus all the new ones that I do each successive week. Don't forget there's an annual pledge option, which you get a 10% discount off of if you just want to support me once for an entire year. There's a 10% thank you discount on that. And Patreon also offers a 7-day free trial if you'd like to sign up for that and just take a test drive, if you will. Take a demo drive of supporting this podcast on Patreon without actually putting down any money to do so. But anyway, the Patreon page again, patreon.com/Tesla Podcast. Let's talk now about, in my opinion, the biggest Tesla news story of the week. And that is this: Tesla will stop selling FSD outright next month and will move to a subscription-only option. Tesla CEO Elon Musk posted on X at 10:30 p.m. Pacific, which, if he was in Texas, meant it was 12:30 a.m. for him, saying, quote, "Tesla will stop selling FSD after February 14th. FSD will only be available as a monthly subscription thereafter," end quote. You know, when I saw this, I had a vague memory of predicting this outcome when Tesla first introduced the monthly subscription option. I don't know if I actually said that, but it sort of struck a chord in my brain. But regardless, this is not pleasant news, because removing a choice for the customer is never good, in my opinion. It might be good for the company to remove this option, but for me, it's not good for the customer. I mean, hey, maybe the take rate on the $8,000 purchase option for FSD was exceptionally low. I mean, I've done it twice, but I am just one person. But having a choice is always better than not having a choice. I think most people would agree with me on that. And I think that Tesla might find that this move negatively affects customer loyalty, or at the very least, delays a new car purchase for a customer who would have otherwise upgraded because they own a car with FSD purchased outright. Now that is, unless that purchased FSD can be transferred to a new car. The thing is, though, as of this recording, we don't have any more details, and thus we don't know if that will be the case. FSD transfer is currently a thing, but Tesla has made no promises that it's going to stick around from one quarter to the next. In fact, they keep using it as a demand lever. I know I've been on this podcast saying that it's unofficially permanent, but now with this change, it throws that into question. I'm not sure. In fact, I'll say I woke up to texts from my cousin Zach in New Jersey. Shout out to Zach, who I'm looking forward to seeing this summer when he gets married. I woke up to texts from Zach. He's got a Hardware 3, Model 3, and he was itching to buy it, thinking, I better just buy this now, right? And I had to talk him out of it, or at least my counsel to him was, I would recommend that you don't pull the trigger and spend $8,000 on this. Spend the $8,000 on the wedding instead, on your future house. But I told him this was probably not something I would recommend doing, at least not without an assurance that anybody who buys it now or already owns it will for sure be able to transfer it, whether that's in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, down the road after this policy change goes into effect next month. If we get that assurance, and particularly in writing on Tesla.com versus just a post on X from the CEO, I would feel a lot better about it. But it just, honestly, we don't have that yet. We don't have it. So I strongly advised Zach to not do it, especially not on a Hardware 3 car. I would offer that same polite counsel to any of you who may be thinking about it. I'm not going to celebrate this at all, but what I do think that Elon and Tesla could do in order to take the sting out of this a little bit, as well as perhaps push a little one-time rush of FSD purchases, would be to come out right now or very soon, as soon as possible, and flat out say very clearly, anyone who's bought FSD for their car prior to February 15th will be able to transfer it either for life to any newly purchased Tesla, or at least a one-time transfer. At the absolute minimum, we will allow you for sure, anytime you want in the future, you can transfer it once to a newly purchased car. Basically, I'm asking for Tesla to make the transfer an early adopter thank you gift. And I think we've all earned that. If you've purchased FSD at any point in the last, by the way, almost 10 years, I had to stop and think about this. I was like, oh yeah, it was fall of 2016. As of this fall, Tesla will have been selling FSD for a full decade. And we are only just now on the 4th generation of the hardware, with the current generation of the software that we just got, a month or two ago. We're finally getting to a place where it's like legit good, and the cars can self-deliver themselves from the Texas factory, from Giga Texas. But I say that to point out that, in my humble opinion, all of us who have purchased FSD at some point in the last 10 years, we're still in the early adopter phase of FSD. And I say that since the software still has not reached unsupervised FSD status yet. We can't go to sleep in the car and wake up at our destination. We are not, at least we can't do it legally. So we're not there yet. And so that's what I would like to see from Tesla, is an assurance that if you purchase it now or you've purchased it in the past on a car that you still have, that you'll for sure be able to transfer it. Now, for those of you out there who might think, well, $8,000, that's silly. I mean, hey, I get that the math it definitely only works out on purchasing FSD for $8,000 if you plan to keep the car for more than 7.75 years. That's the break-even point, and then you start, quote-unquote, making money on the deal if you purchase it for $8,000. I also want to acknowledge the number of you out there that some of you paid $10,000 for FSD as the price first went up. Some of you paid $12,000 for FSD as the price continued to go up. And some of you out there paid $15,000 for FSD. And I say that, I'm not trying to speak ill of you in any way. It's the opposite. I am saying that you, probably even more than the people that paid $8,000, deserve an assurance that you're going to be able to transfer it to a new car, rather than just, if you get a new one, you're stuck with the $99 per month subscription rate, and that's $99 a month at the current price. So that's kind of where I stand there. Plus, and I'll acknowledge as well, as far as people that don't like the $8,000 outright purchase option, that the way Tesla's system has been set up, you are out of luck on that $8,000 if for any reason, even if it's not your fault, if your car gets totaled, you are probably not getting full restitution from your insurance company on that $8,000 FSD purchase. So I acknowledge all of that, but it's about the removal of the choice. And I'll point this out too. There's the question of, does this affect any change with the Lux package that's recently become mandatory on Model S, Model X, and Cyberbeast? Because as all of you know, among other things, the Lux package includes FSD. I suspect, at least after I thought about it for a couple minutes, I don't think that Tesla will make any changes to the Lux package. Because number one, they want the higher average sale price, the higher ASP on the relatively few S's, X's, and Beasts that they sell. So I think they are going to continue forcing the Lux package, which includes FSD, on those cars. So I don't think that this policy change to FSD is going to impact the Lux package at all. The good news here, in terms of trying to get an assurance or get additional details on this, is that we do have an earnings call coming up in just 2 weeks. So I am going to politely and humbly task all of you retail shareholders out there with upvoting a question about FSD transfer onto the next earnings call, so that we can, first and foremost, get Elon to have to think about it on the call. We've seen this before. We've seen good questions put up on the earnings call before that he then listens to, contemplates, and sometimes takes action on. And so I think that he needs to think about it a little bit more. I'm not saying he's quote unquote wrong. It's his company. He's the boss, right? That's the deal. But as a customer, I am sitting here wanting to advocate to have the choice restored. Because, and I'll say this too, I don't want to get too far into the weeds. It's not like I take this personally or anything because I bought FSD twice, but I will say that I think the optics on this are a little not great, because you're talking about a substantial policy change to what is currently the entire crux of Tesla's business. In the words of the CEO himself, Tesla is all in on autonomy. This is the focus of the company. And so a policy change posted by the CEO on social media and not coming from the company itself on the company website that's posted in the middle of the night, well, it doesn't exactly inspire confidence that this decision was very carefully considered. Maybe it was, but I'm just saying the optics on it aren't great, in my opinion. So hopefully a question can and will be put to him on that upcoming earnings call, and we can get him to give it some more careful consideration at the very least. Because like I said, he has changed his position before on policies and things based on customer feedback. So we'll see what he says in a couple weeks if the question gets put to him. But if in fact this policy does end up going into effect, it is, at least for now, going to be $99 a month. And here's the thing, this is part of the reason why I don't like the choice being removed. If we get to unsupervised and Tesla decides to raise the price, well, guess what? For any new customers, or basically anybody that didn't purchase the FSD prior to the February 14th deadline, well, guess what? If the price goes up, you either pay the new price or you cancel. That's it. That's really your only option. So to me, again, I know I'm beating the dead horse. It's just a bummer to me to have a choice taken away from customers. I don't regret buying it twice myself, even on the AI3 car. I'm glad I did. Some of you may feel differently, but surely you would agree with me that having choices is a good thing. Next up this week, well, this is in much happier news. Nothing to complain about here. The two design changes out of Giga Shanghai that I headlined the podcast with last week did, as I predicted, come to the United States. And we didn't even have to wait long at all. It was just a few days instead of a few months, as it has typically been in the past from changes initiated at Giga Shanghai. So it turns out it was exactly as I predicted last week, not that it was some sort of Nostradamus level prediction. So here's what the deal is. The Model Y Standard will not get the black headliner or the slightly larger, slightly higher resolution 16-inch center touchscreen, but every other Model Y, that's the premium rear-wheel drive, the premium all-wheel drive, and the performance version, will get the black headliner and the slightly larger, slightly higher resolution 16-inch center touchscreen. So I already said my piece on this last week. I do prefer the black headliner, especially with the white interior, but I can also completely understand if others don't, because as I was talking about last week with my DeLorean experience, it might make the cabin feel a little bit smaller, more claustrophobic for some people. But I'm going to add this to what I said last week. Now that these changes have come to the American factories, I would expect the Model 3 is going to follow suit on these changes before too long. Maybe as soon as next week, maybe even as soon as you hear this, but also maybe once Tesla's black headliner supplier is able to ramp up their supply and provide enough parts for all the cars, the 3 and the Y. The S and X and Cybertruck do have black headliner as well, but theirs is an Alcantara material, whereas this is a black fabric. It's the same fabric material that's already in the 3 and the Y, just a different color version. But I think the reason, besides just supplier simplicity, I mean, that's the main reason, but another reason to bring this over to the Model 3s is the same reason that they're doing it on the premium Model Ys and not the standard Y, which is having the black headliner and the slightly larger screen. It's a way to differentiate the premium Model 3s versus the standard Model 3 as well. Side note, by the way, I would love to get this retrofitted into my Model 3 Performance. I just think it would look, as I said last week, I think it would look so good with the white interior, which I have. I mean, I suppose I could retrofit it in. I'd just have to pay Tesla a pretty penny in labor to do it, if they'd even take the job. I mean, they're I don't know if they would. They might just be like, sorry, no, we're not going to take on a job like that. Go to a, interior upholsterer or something and have them do it. But, because, I guess it wouldn't be all labor. There would be some parts costs too. Besides the headliner materials, there would be black sun visor pieces and the black dome light plate up on the, the ceiling of the car. So if I will say this, if anybody from Tesla wants to give me a quote for this, for science, I would love to hear it. Feel free to reach out to me, teslapodcast@gmail.com. I would be curious what the cost of this would be, if it's even something that Tesla would entertain. Well, you guys know me. You know that I love little design changes. So I made the new headline color the subject of this week's Patreon poll. Thank you to everybody, all 273 of you as of this recording that stopped by my Patreon page to vote. The Patreon poll is free. It's open to everybody. I want everybody to stop on by and cast your vote each week on whatever the poll question is. Stop by patreon.com/Tesla podcast. Typically, new questions go up on Tuesday evenings. Sometimes it's a day later, sometimes it's a day earlier, but typically Tuesday nights. Anyway, the question was simply, what color headliner do you prefer? And I did put a picture of each one, so you had a little visual there. And shout out to the 42% of you that voted the same way I would have voted on this one. 42%, which won the poll, chose black headliner all the way, no matter what color the seats are. And then it was pretty close between the next two. 19% of you said gray headliner all the way, no matter what color the seats are. 21% of you voted, I prefer black headliner with the black seats, but gray headliner with the white seats. So 21% of you wanting to kind of go with the kind of all dark interior or the all lighter color interior. And then just 5% of you voted for the opposite. 5% voted, I prefer gray headliner with the black seats, but black headliner with the white seats. But the majority of votes cast went to the black headliner all the way, no matter what color the seats are. So thank you again to everybody that kindly took the time to vote in this week's Patreon poll. Before I continue with the rest of this week's Tesla and EV news, and there is plenty more to talk about, a quick note for my Rivian owners listening out there. It's from my friends at Accelerate Auto and their XCare extended warranty option. If you're planning to keep your Rivian long term, you already know that repairs, suspension, electronics, well, they're not cheap once the factory coverage ends, should anything occur. That's why I've partnered, as I continue to do so, with my friends at XCare, an extended protection option built specifically for EVs, not just Teslas. It's all EVs, including Rivian. Right now, Rivian owners can get $200 off their coverage when purchasing online using the referral code BDRRTL at checkout. And if you'd like to combine that $200 discount with 12 months of 0% financing, that option is available with the help of an XCare specialist. To get started, visit xcare.com and enter BDRRTL at checkout or call 844-755-4186 to speak with an actual human, with an XCare specialist. It's a smart way to lock in protection early and avoid surprises later with one of the most trusted EV protection options in the industry. I'm a 2-time customer now of XCare, so I definitely vouch for these guys. I'm glad I have them backing me up on our 2018 Model 3 performance. So shout out to my Rivian listeners out there from XCare. Well, the change in Model Y headliner to the dark headliner is not the only new thing going into the Model Y this week. Tesla's also launched the 7-seater that was promised early last year by the aforementioned Lars Moravy when he appeared with Franz on Jay Leno's Garage to show Jay the then brand new Model Y. It is a $2,500 option for the 7-seater, which I do believe is the same price as it was on the Gen 1 Model Y, and it is otherwise seemingly identical to how it was on the previous version, which means they will not, in my humble opinion, be useful for really anybody but families with fairly young kids. And they are going to encroach on your cargo area when those seats are up, but they'll be there if you want them. And if you don't, you can just fold them flat, just like the second row seats, and then they're really hardly taking up any space in the car. So it may be an appealing option for a number of families out there. And if you're wondering, by the way, whether or not the addition of the 7-seater negatively affects the chances of the Model Y L coming to the United States, well, I can't say for sure, obviously, because I'm not Tesla, but I personally don't think it negatively affects the chances of the L coming here. And the reason is because the L is still a pretty different animal. 6 seats with the 2 captain's chairs for the second row and that longer wheelbase. So I just think the market for that is different. The market for the 7-seater is probably going to be people with either more kids or maybe a family of 4 that just wants to have that third row there occasionally, but maybe a lot of the time that third row is going to stay folded flat and out of the way. Like, say, maybe if you have your kids' friends in the car with you or something. Whereas with the Model Y L, I think that is going to be more appealing for families of 4 or more who will use all 6 seats frequently. So I do think there's not nearly as much of an overlap with those two versions as you might initially think. So nice to have that 7-seat option there. I know there are plenty of you out there that have it on the Gen 1 Model Y, or maybe have been waiting for it here on the Generation 2 Model Y. Well, it has arrived. I should point out, it is only available on the premium all-wheel drive version. So you do have to spend a little bit more money to get it. So if you were hoping to get it on the premium rear-wheel drive Model Y, sorry to tell you that it's not the case. And quite honestly, I will say, I don't think, unless Lars wants to call me up, call the podcast and tell me why I'm wrong, it seems like it's more of a business choice versus an actual like engineering limitation or anything like that. Like Tesla probably could offer it on the premium rear wheel drive. They just want to have that on, they want to make you spend a little bit more money to get there to have that higher average sale price. At least, again, I don't know for sure. I'll ask Lars the next time I see him. But, because, there's no, it's just the difference. It's a front motor if you get the all-wheel drive version, so it's really not affecting anything there in the rear of the car. But anyway, that is a key bit of information to pass along. Only available on the premium all-wheel drive Model Y. There's another change as well. The Model Ys are now switching to matte black badging on all trims. Well, sort of. When I say all trims, turns out the Model Y standard doesn't have any badging. So it both does and doesn't get this change. Same with the premium rear-wheel drive, actually, because there's no badging on that car either. But the dual motor version, the premium all-wheel drive, gets the dual motor word mark badge on the bottom right corner of the rear trunk lid, the rear hatch lid there. It gets it in matte black instead of chrome. And the performance version's insane mode flag badge, rectangular shaped flag badge, presumably stays the same. Now, the new Model Y, of course, doesn't have a badge on the front in any trim, at least here in North America. It does have a Tesla T logo up there in China, but not here in the States. And then the rear badge, the rear wordmark TESLA badge on the new Model Y, it's baked into the light bar assembly, and that was already black plastic, so there's no change there. It's just that dual motor badge if you're purchasing the premium all-wheel drive version. And the model, in this case, the Y is following the Model 3 because the Model 3s made this change already for the 2026 model year vehicles in the last couple of months. And lastly on this, there's still one more component of this particular topic. Speaking of changing a design item to a darker color, we're going to continue with that theme. There is one more change to tell you about. The Model Y's 20-inch Helix 2.0 wheels are now a dark gray color. They cost the same, $2,000 as an upgrade over the default 19-inch Crossflow wheel. $2,000, but now it's a dark gray color, and you guys know me well enough by now. I very much prefer dark wheels to light wheels on pretty much all the Teslas. So for me, this looks a lot better. It makes the Helix 2.0 wheels look a whole lot better on the car for me. I do wish Tesla would do the same thing on the Model 3's 19-inch Nova wheels. That's currently the only silver wheel option on the 3, just as the 20-inch Helix 2.0 wheel was the only silver wheel option on the Y, and now there isn't one. And I would love to see the 19-inch Novas get changed over to a dark gray color for the new Model 3 as well. I just think they would look great if they were dark gray. But anyway, I definitely like this change for the Model Y and its Helix 2.0 wheels. I think it's going to make the car look a lot sharper, really in any paint color, even white. I think it'll look a nice bit better. Moving along this week to our final Tesla news story. The Boring Company is in the news regarding the Tesla Robovan, aka the Robovan. The Boring Company president Steve Davis has shared the most likely first real-world use for Tesla's Robovan. Via Teslarati, thank you to my friends over there for posting this news story. They said, during a feature with the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Boring Company president Steve Davis stated that the Tesla Robovan will be used in Sin City once the Vegas Loop expands across the Strip and downtown, and the fleet grows to about 1,200 Teslas. At that scale, Robovans would primarily be deployed during predictable surges, such as sports game days and large shows when many riders are traveling to the same destination at the same time. Quote, the second you have 4 passengers and you have to start stopping, the best thing you can do is put your smallest vehicle in, which is a car. But if you know people are going to the stadium because of a game, you'll know an hour before, 2 hours before, that a lot of people are going to a game or a Sphere show. If you're smart about it, that's when you put a high occupancy vehicle in. That's when you put the Robovan in, Davis said. Steve Davis's Robovan comment comes amid the Boring Company's efforts to expand the Vegas Loop's airport service. Phase 1 of rides to Harry Reid International Airport began last month, allowing passengers to travel from existing Loop stations, such as Resorts World, Encore, Westgate, and the Las Vegas Convention Center. Phase 2 will add a 2.2-mile dual-direction tunnel from Westgate to Paradise Road. That section is expected to open within months and will allow speeds of up to 60 miles per hour on parts of the route, while expanding the fleet to around 160 vehicles. Future phases are expected to extend tunnels closer to airport terminals and add multiple stations along University Center Drive. At this point, the system's fleet is expected to grow close to 300 Teslas. The final phase, an underground airport station, was described by Davis as the system's, quote, holy grail. This, however, has no definite time frame as of yet. Thank you to Teslarati for that one. Well, I am on record as saying that I don't believe that the Robovan will ever get built because I don't know who would buy it. It's not for individual families because it's too big for them as a giant 20-seat vehicle. It seems too small for municipalities, but okay, I will give it to the Boring Company. The Vegas Loop would, in fact, be a good use case for it. The problem I see is that it would still be a really small number of Robovans. And I just can't imagine Tesla's actually going to put a vehicle into production unless they can build a meaningful number of them. I guess the exception there is the Roadster. And in fact, I bet the Tesla of today, on kind of a side note, but sort of a related note, the Tesla of today probably wishes it had never announced the Roadster the new Roadster in the first place, because I would imagine that they'd prefer to never build it, but they committed themselves to doing so 8 years ago. But anyway, with the Robovan, I do see the use case with the Boring Company, but I don't see the scale needed to justify building it unless, unless the Tesla is just going to hand build them, basically like prototypes, which could make perfect sense, right? They're not intending to sell them. They probably wouldn't have to go through all of the usual government certifications that you have to do in order to sell a car to the public. If it's all just private enterprise in the Vegas Loop, maybe Tesla just hand builds, I don't know, 20, maybe 50 Robovans, something like that. So we'll see what happens as these phases for the Vegas Loop project progress. That's it for Tesla news this week, but I wanted to give you one bit of other EV news that I liked seeing this week, and I mentioned it at the very top. It's about Polestar, which is an EV company that admittedly I don't talk about very often on here because, well, quite honestly, they haven't really given me anything super exciting to talk about, but here's some good news to share, which I'm always happy to share good news about an EV-only company. Although, yes, I know the Polestar 1 was not a pure battery electric vehicle, but that was sort of the just initial car, and then the Polestar 2 onward are all EVs. So, here we go. Polestar posts its best ever year as sales grow 34% in 2025. I saw this story on Drive Tesla Canada, who wrote, Polestar closed out 2025 with its strongest performance since the brand was founded, reporting record global retail sales as the Swedish electric car maker continued to expand its footprint in new markets. According to the figures released last week, the company delivered an estimated 60,119 vehicles worldwide for the full year, marking a 34% increase compared to 2024. The surge was especially pronounced in the final quarter. Polestar said it sold approximately 15,608 vehicles in Q4 2025, a 27% year-over-year jump from the same period in 2024. That late-year acceleration helped cement 2025 as a breakout year for the Geely and Volvo-backed brand, even as much of the global EV market grappled with higher interest rates, intensifying competition, and shifting incentive structures. Polestar CEO Michael Lohscheller, there we go, I got it the second time, credited the company's expanding reach and product strategy for the results, noting that the automaker has been gaining ground against traditional car makers in Europe. Quote, for retail sales volumes, 2025 has been the best year ever for Polestar, despite continued external headwinds and challenging market conditions. We are gaining market share and outselling many established car brands across key European markets, a testament to the expansion of our sales network, which has grown by over 50% this year, our attractive model lineup, and the team's hard work, end quote. That expansion has been a key driver of Polestar's growth. Over the course of 2025, the company significantly increased the size of its global sales network, giving it more physical and digital points of contact with customers. Combined with a broader lineup that now includes vehicles like the Polestar 2 Fastback and the Polestar 3 and Polestar 4 SUVs, the brand has been able to reach more buyers looking for premium, performance-oriented EVs. The company also confirmed that more details about its future plans are coming soon. Polestar management will hold a strategy update on February 18th, where it will outline upcoming product developments and provide a refreshed financial outlook. Well, I'm really glad to see this because as I was seeing it, just kind of monitoring the EV world, it seemed like things weren't looking too good for Polestar for a while. I mean, they've got some really nice cars, design-wise, subjective opinion, I know, and I do see in my neck of the woods, I see a good number of the Polestar 2s around here. I've started to see the 3s a little bit. And I'll say this about Polestar. I was really impressed by their Polestar 6 concept, which I was lucky enough to see in person back at the Monterey Car Week event in 2022. That car, if you're not familiar, it's a 2+2 Roadster, but unfortunately it's not cheap, much like Tesla's upcoming next-gen Roadster. Back then, again in 2022, they told me that it was supposed to be around $200,000. I don't know it's probably not going to get any cheaper between then and now and the time it actually comes out, but you're talking, well into six figures for that car. And I remember thinking at the time, when I saw the car at Monterey Car Week, I remember thinking, I wonder if this will end up shipping before the new Tesla Roadster does. If which open top sports car, EV sports car will hit the market first. And at the time, it kind of looked like it would be close, but then both of them have been delayed. I looked it up. It was originally set to launch this year, whereas maybe originally it was supposed to be even earlier. It could have been 2025, back at its 2022 unveiling. But now the 2026 window is gone. It's been delayed again to either 2027 or 2028. Polestar won't say. So it's still anybody's guess as to which expensive EV Roadster will make it into production and start deliveries first. But regardless of that, I really do hope that the Polestar 6 does get built eventually, even if I wouldn't be able to afford one. I'd just love to see one on the road and maybe even some way, somehow get a chance to drive one, because it was a beautiful car. If you look it up on Google image search, just search Polestar 6, you'll see it. It's I'm a big fan of how that sports car looks. All right, that's everything I've got for you in the world of Tesla and other EV news this week. Let's move right along now to the Ride the Lightning hotline. As always, I've got plenty of your excellent Ride the Lightning hotline phone calls queued up and ready to go. But before I get to the first one, which is from Scott in Rochester, New York, I will remind you that if you've got a question, comment, or discussion topic for the podcast, there are two easy ways to call in. First, you could use your smartphone's built-in voice recording software, record your question, and please try to keep it to 90 seconds or less so I can get to as many calls each week as possible. Then just email that recorded file to me at teslapodcast@gmail.com. Or the second way to call in is to take that same 90-second call, that 90-second question, and just dial me up on the Ride the Lightning hotline anytime, toll-free, and leave a message on there, and I'll get the message. The toll-free number is 1-888-989-8752, or if it's easier to remember it this way, 1-888-989-8752. TSLA. And by the way, if you know someone special with an upcoming birthday, anniversary, graduation, or some other special occasion, you can give them a unique gift of recorded voices from friends and family telling them why they're special. The recordings can be podcasted or put onto a keepsake. Visit lifeonrecord.com to learn more. So as I said, first up this week is Scott from Rochester, New York, with a PSA for those of you with the new Model Y.
Hey Ryan, this is Scott from Rochester, New York with some information about an issue that many new Model Y owners are currently experiencing. I'm a 3-time Model Y owner myself. I took delivery of my 2026 Model Y in August. Shortly after delivery, I noticed a rattling, thunking noise coming from the front driver's side front suspension by the wheel when going over bumps and little divots under 40 miles per hour. It happens on pretty much every drive. And it's distracting, it's unnerving to hear and feel it. Shortly afterwards, I found out I wasn't alone. On the TeslaMotorsClub.com, there's a forum post starting in April that currently has over 2,000 posts from hundreds of other owners who are also experiencing the issue. Many of these owners have spent a lot of time trying to determine the root cause and an ultimate fix. However, there hasn't been a lot of success in doing so. Many, including myself, have brought in their vehicles for Tesla service visits with varying results. There is some kind of bulletin, technical service bulletin that Tesla has that points to potential methods of trying to reduce the noise. This typically includes replacing the upper control arm mounts, which have been revised with part numbers, replacing them, removing something called a pencil brace under the front cowl underneath the hood. However, this repair typically does not take care or eliminate the noise completely. For some owners, it's reducing the noise, making it a little bit better. And for others, there's no change at all. There is indication that an improved service bulletin is coming soon that will address more parts in suspension. So a lot of us continue to wait on what could be coming to make this better for us. Thanks for everything you do for the pod. Have a good one. Thanks.
Oh boy, I am sorry to hear about this, Scott. For you and for anybody that's been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that something like this would drive me absolutely insane. So I am very empathetic to your situation here, to everybody affected by this. Thank you for raising it. I confess it's the first that I am learning of it, which, I mean, I'm not a Model Y owner, so hopefully you give me a little slack on that one, but I am happy to put this out there as a PSA for the many other new Model Y owners and future potential buyers out there, and hope that airing this helps inspire Tesla to prioritize the fix for this if they have not already done so, and honestly, I imagine they've done so, and from what Scott was saying about the service bulletins on this, it is known about and it is clearly being worked on. So thank you, Scott, for doing your best to get this documented with Tesla and help push for a fix for yourself and for all your fellow new Model Y owners that are affected by it. Fingers crossed Tesla completely resolves this for you and everybody else that's dealing with this soon. Next up this week, here's a longtime caller, Bill from Wisconsin, responding to my New Year's predictions, specifically the one about the range of the Tesla Roadster. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Ryan, it's Bill from Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, listening to episode 544, your predictions for the coming year. First of all, congratulations on garnering as many points as you did for your 2025 predictions. I thought you did quite well. Your second prediction, or I should say your ninth prediction, the one talking about the Roadster not having 620 miles of range, the one thing that you need to keep in mind, I don't think their goal was ever, hey, we need that car to have 1,000 kilometers of range. I think the reason why it's that long is a byproduct of the amount of power that it needs in order to be able to accelerate at the rate that they want to. And what I mean by that, obviously the cold gas thrusters could potentially change this, but the energy capacity of the battery pack is one thing. but how quickly can you get the energy out of the cells in the pack? Because you need to draw a certain amount of amperage in order to accelerate at the rate that they want to be able to accelerate. And I think the reason why they had such a big battery pack, 200 kilowatt hours, was because of the fact that they calculated that's how many cells they needed to get the power output that's required to accelerate that quickly. Just spitballing here. I didn't do the math or anything, but I'm thinking that you maybe didn't take that into account. So if it does end up having that many miles of range, it's not because they think people are going to be road tripping in it. It's because they think they need that in order to be able to accelerate at the rate that they want. Just saying. Take care. Give Daisy Lily hugs and kisses from me and Kerbal. Bye-bye.
Thanks, as always, for your call, Bill. I hear where you're coming from on this, and it may very well have been true when the original prototype was conceived and developed back in 2017. But here's the thing. Rimac has proven that you don't need a 200 kilowatt hour pack to get a supercar to achieve the Roadster's originally stated specs. Rimac beats those 2017 numbers and does so, I had to double check and look this up, with a 120 kilowatt hour battery pack. In fact, there is now a Rimac Nevera R, a new variant, that has a smaller battery pack, which by the way also makes the car lighter. It's a 108 kilowatt hour battery pack, and that car is even quicker and faster than the base Nevera was. So I'm not saying you're wrong at all, Bill. Not at all. My point is that Tesla, as they're going to finally build the Roadster here in the next couple of years, they clearly don't need that much juice in the version of the car that they're going to make in order to achieve their specs. So I just don't think it's going to carry all of that weight, but we'll see. You could end up being correct, in which case I'll buy you In-N-Out Burger the next time that you're in my neck of the woods. I've met Bill before. He's been out here before. We had a good time. He met Daisy, and Bill's a good guy. But yeah, Bill, if it ends up having a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack, lunch is on me, my friend. Thank you as always for your call. Next up, here's Officer Greg calling in from Camarillo, commenting on a real-life accident situation with regard to dash cams. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Ryan. Greg from Camarillo. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a law enforcement officer. I wanted to share a real-world traffic crash investigation that highlights potential opportunity for Tesla to enhance an already strong dash cam system. I had a 3-vehicle traffic crash where none of the involved drivers could give a definitive statement about what happened, and the vehicle damage didn't clearly establish fault or a sequence of events. As a result, there was no conclusive evidence to determine the cause of the crash. One of the vehicles involved was a Tesla Model Y. Naturally, I hope to review dashcam footage. However, because airbags did not deploy and the damage wasn't significant enough to trigger an event, no footage was saved. The owner contacted Tesla directly, since they have Tesla insurance, in hopes that the footage could be recovered, but Tesla was unable to retrieve any of the video. What stood out to me was every vehicle I personally owned prior to my Teslas, I always put an aftermarket dash cam, usually something I picked up on Amazon for around $50. And they had the ability to have this 5 or 10 minute loop option, allowing the driver to go back and establish a specific event in that loop recording. From an investigative standpoint, that kind of continuous recording is incredibly valuable. My suggestion is that Tesla could consider offering an option to continuously record dash cam footage to an SD card or storage device in the glove box to have that rolling loop similar to those basic dash cams that even our body-worn cameras have. If that capability had been in place in this crash, the Tesla owner would have had the definitive video evidence of what happened. I wouldn't have to document the collision as unknown due to lack of reliable statements or physical evidence. I think this would be a major benefit for drivers, us as law enforcement officers, and insurance investigators, and further reinforce Tesla's leadership in safety and transparency. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate your podcast. Take care.
Greg, it's great to hear from you. And it's nice to have law enforcement officers out there who are familiar with Teslas, as that will absolutely be helpful in these kinds of situations some way, somehow. Weirdly, they do have the very feature that you asked for. Take a look at yours when you get a chance. It does loop. I think it's 10 minutes at a time, I believe. I have to double check it if they've changed that recently. I'm not sure what happened with the Model Y that was involved here, certainly. Maybe they didn't have things set up properly. I'm not sure, but I will say I have heard of Teslas in accidents not saving the footage. So maybe there's some flaw in the system somewhere along those lines that where when there's an impact, when there's a crash, it doesn't write or save the footage to the drive. I'm not sure, but hopefully that's something that Tesla can address just to make the built-in, totally free dash cam system that they give us even more useful. I've got one more call for all of you this week. It comes from Glenn in South Africa. Now, if you remember, Glenn had called in. He has never seen in person a Tesla because he's in South Africa. There just aren't any there. He's a big fan. He's a big listener of the podcast. And he had a trip to the UK to see family. So he was going to get to see Teslas one way or another. And here I had said to Glenn, hey, call back after your trip and share your enthusiasm with us. Well, Glenn has kindly done just that.
Hey, Ryan, it's Glenn here from Cape Town, South Africa. I'm back from the UK, and many of my Tesla dreams came true. For the first time in person, I got to see all sexy models in person on the roads, and it was awesome. I was pointing them out to my family probably for the first 3 days, and I think they got a bit annoyed with me. Then I got them to take me to a Tesla dealership where I was hoping to test drive, but unfortunately I don't have a UK EU license, but I got to play with the new Model Y, just with the infotainment system. I got to sit in it and enjoy it, and the new Model 3. And of course, I amused my family with emissions testing mode. That was super funny. But I did eventually get to drive the new Model 3 standard range, and it was unbelievable. Unfortunately, I was only able to drive it in a car park, as the insurance of the owner doesn't allow me to drive it on public roads, but that was just the ultimate. I got to put my foot down so I could feel that instant torque. I got to try out one pedal driving, which was the GOAT. And I got to supercharge for the first time. So I got to plug the charger in, unplug it, feel the cable, and you know, it just brings to light how heavy these cables are. I got to touch the version 3 supercharger, which was super cool. I know this must be just ridiculous to you guys who live with these cars all the time. But I must say, expectations exceeded big time. That's what I can say. I'll remember this for forever, and I cannot wait to drive these cars again for much longer this time around. Ryan, thanks for an awesome show. Have a fantastic 2026, and let's do this. Cheers, bye.
Glenn, thank you so much for honoring my request for a follow-up phone call after your trip. I am so thrilled that you had such a great time, and you got a lot of quality Tesla time for yourself. I do have some bad news for you, though, Glenn. There's a downside to what you've just finally experienced. Now, you're going to be thinking about Teslas even more than you did before. This is what happens once you get to experience one yourself. I speak from experience here. It just gets into your head. A whole lot of my listeners can back me up on that, too. But it's fun, and that's what life should be about, right? So I hope you get more time with a Tesla soon, and thank you so much for being such a loyal listener of the podcast. That's all the phone calls that I have time for on this week's podcast, but keep them coming. Keep those calls coming. I promise I will get to more of your Ride the Lightning hotline calls on next week's podcast. And if you're wondering how to do that, well, I gave you the call-in instructions at the top of this segment, so refer back there if you'd like to call in. As for what's going on with me and my car, we, after enduring a whole lot of rainy weather, we are currently blessed with some absolutely beautiful weather here in my neck of the woods. My weather forecast app on my phone says no rain for the next 10 days, and it said it last weekend too. So we're in a nice, sunny, beautiful stretch. In fact, gosh, it was in the 60s today. And last weekend, I washed both cars, got them super nice, because I knew that I was going to have a nice long stretch of good weather to enjoy them with. And I am looking forward to getting both of them out this weekend, because the older one, we take the dogs. The new one, we don't. We keep it dog fur free in the new one. But I'm looking forward to getting those cars out there. And by the way, the cleaning the inside of the windshield method that I talked about on last week's podcast at this segment, it totally worked like a charm, as I expected it would. That was out of spec detailing had put that up. I tested it out on the 2018 car, which actually needed it. Like, the inside glass was getting kind of, hazy, and it transformed that glass to just completely opaque. I mean, just perfectly clear glass. So now I'm standby. I've got all the material I need. I've got the right cleaners, the foam applicator, the right glass towels. I've got all my stuff to do this whenever either car needs it. But that was an awesome video. I'm glad I found it. And now I have nice clean glass on the inside, which is sweet. Here's an entertainment recommendation for you this week. My wife and I have been watching this one in like 20-minute chunks at Supercharger stops when, as I think I've probably mentioned here before, the 2018 car, which is now officially my wife's car, we're lucky enough that one has free lifetime supercharging on it. And so we mostly just drive it around on the weekends, and at the end of the weekend, if we've got time, we stop at a supercharger and juice up for the week. And so while we're doing that, we'll throw something on Netflix in the car and watch it. And we've been chipping away. We finally finished a documentary on Netflix. It's not exactly new. I mean, it's recent-ish. But anyway, the documentary was called AKA Charlie Sheen. It was the Charlie Sheen documentary. Now, if you're my age, you're in your mid-40s. Let me try that again. My mouth has decided to stop working after an hour plus on this week's podcast. Sorry about that. But I have memories of Charlie Sheen from the Hot Shots movies, the parody, back when parody films would get made and would go to theaters and would do well. And so yeah, Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 were favorites of mine. So yeah, and obviously I've heard all about his more recent history. I never watched his big show, the 2.5 Men. I never did watch that. But anyway, we did enjoy the AKA Charlie Sheen documentary on Netflix. So I'll give that a recommendation. Certainly not one that you want to watch with the kids or around the kids, but there you go. There's an entertainment recommendation for this week. Now let's do your pro tip of the week. It comes from Jason in Texas.
Hi Ryan, it's Jason from Texas with a pro tip. For reference, I drive a 2020 Model 3. So this is probably a little bit niche, but I live out on a farm here, and for a variety of reasons, our main gate is not electric yet. So to get out of the farm, I have to drive the car up to the gate, get out of the car, open the gate, get back in the car, pull the car through the gate, get out of the car, close the gate, get back in the car. When I do this, if I'm not careful, my phone will disconnect from Bluetooth once I'm on the other side of the gate and getting back in the car. What I have found is that if I am careful to tap on the brake before I close the door, it does not do this. I don't know if it thinks that maybe the car is going to be parked for a while and so it doesn't recheck to try to reconnect to Bluetooth. I think if Tesla were to make it so that when you put the car in drive, it automatically tries to reconnect to Bluetooth, that would be helpful. But for now, just tapping the brake before I close the door seems to fix it. Gives the dog some pets for me. You have a great day.
Jason, thank you very much. And I can't imagine that you're the only person in this situation. a manually operated gate, like on your farm, is certainly not some sort of archaic thing. It's pretty normal. So I appreciate you calling in to share this little workaround that seems to be working for you. Hopefully it will work well for other folks in this situation as well. Thanks so much again for that pro tip of the week. And if anybody else out there has a good Tesla or EV pro tip of the week, please call in and share it with me so that I can share it with everybody and we can all add to our collective Tesla and EV knowledge base. All you got to do is send it in like you're sending in a regular Ride the Lightning hotline call, and I gave you the 2 call-in methods for that just a little while ago in the podcast, so refer back there. Well, we're just about done with episode 546, but before I go, let me mention some friends of Ride the Lightning that can hopefully be useful to you, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe soon. And I'll start with abstractocean.com. They've been a friend of this podcast for years and years now, and they have just got so many great aftermarket accessories for not just your Tesla, but also your Rivian as well. I'm on there right now and I'm clicking on new Model 3, the 2024 refresh Model 3, just to see what they got. So Tesla center wheel cap kit. If you want to take your aero caps off, but not have the lug nuts showing, nice center wheel cap kit there. So check that out. There's the Mega Bright LED premium puddle lights from $40. That's cheaper than Tesla's price. There's the door bin liners for the refresh model, because as I learned, they don't come with them anymore. Those are just $30. That's cheaper than Tesla's price. The premium rear footwell lights from $45. You've got a sunglass tray that goes behind the screen, rests on the back of your dash. That's a clever little product. $20 there. Just a million great aftermarket accessories. Check them out, abstractocean.com, and click on whichever vehicle you own, and it'll show you all the products available for that vehicle. Once you've put everything that you like into your online shopping cart, when you get to checkout, use the coupon code RTL Podcast. That's all one word, no spaces, RTL Podcast, to get 15% off of your first order. That's a nice discount. How about SnapPlate, as well as the newer SnapPlate Plus, available for all the Teslas and plenty of other EVs as well. Get yours at everyamp.com/RTL. And when you've chosen the snap plate that's right for you and your car, and you get to checkout, before you go, make sure to put in the coupon code RTL, and you will get a nice discount on that snap plate. So super appreciate that from my friends at Every Amp for offering that Ride the Lightning listener discount. And if you're hearing snoring in the background, that would be Daisy the Boxer. They're both out right now, but Daisy's doing the boxer snore thing. So if that's picking up on Mike, that's what that is. Anyway, snap plate. This is the front license plate bracket that's a nice, clean, minimalist design. Goes on safely and securely, but also comes off all the way without leaving behind any unsightly hardware. Whereas the front license plate bracket that Tesla gives you with your car is adhered to the front of the car with automotive tape, with actual adhesive. So if you ever want to take it off, good luck without damaging the paint. So that's why I recommend the snap plate from everyamp.com/RTL. Check them out. You should also check out my detailer, Immaculate Reflections, if you're in or going to be in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. Their website is irdetailing.com. They offer all the awesome professional detailing services that you might want, from paint protection film. Maybe you want to do the front of the car, protect those key areas where the bulk of the debris, rock chips and things are going to impact. Keep that factory, that beautiful Tesla paint as pristine as possible with some paint protection film. Maybe you want to not have to wax your car for the next 5+ years. So that means get it ceramic coated by a professional detailer like Immaculate Reflections. Again, you've heard me say it, our 2018 car, I have an appointment for early next month, early February, to get a fresh ceramic coat after the first coat lasted 7 years on that car. It was money well spent on that ceramic coating from a professional detailer. Maybe you want to do paint correction service on your car, which will take all the little flaws, scratches, and things out of your paint, get it restored to, well, better than new in a lot of cases. Whatever you want to do, you got to make an appointment first. So go to irdetailing.com. You'll see the contact button either in the middle of the page or in the upper left corner. And you can talk to Jeff, the owner and detailer there, about what you're interested in. Just make sure to mention that you're a Ride the Lightning listener so that any detailing service that you have done, you will get the Ride the Lightning listener discount. My Patreon, found again at patreon.com/Tesla podcast, or just click the link in the episode description. I know I mentioned it earlier, but just one more time. This is how you can support the podcast if you'd like to do so. And my goal is to eventually earn your support. I know it is earned, it's not given. And my goal is each and every week is to deliver you a podcast that you enjoy, that you find informative, and to show up for you each and every week, as I've done for the last 546 weeks and counting. So you can find all the information about supporting me on my Patreon page. The support tiers start, as I said earlier, at just $5 a month. You'd be helping me out a whole lot if you just do that $5 per month pledge. And as a thank you for that $5 per month pledge, you will get an ad-free episode and you'll get early access to it every week. You'll get it as soon as it's done, edited, and uploaded. So that's usually Friday evenings, sometimes earlier if I have to record earlier. If you jump up to that $10 per month tier, that's the most popular tier. You get the ad-free early access and you get the dozens and dozens of hours of extra content in the form of those 176 lightning round mini episodes. So again, check it out. Patreon.com/Tesla podcast. If you're not already following this podcast on your preferred podcast platform, you can do so by first searching for me. Just search Ride the Lightning Tesla Podcast. Should come right up. Then click the follow button and you're good to go. What does that do for you? Well, it doesn't cost you anything. And what it does is when there's a new episode every week, which is every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, you'll get a push notification on your device letting you know that there's a new Ride the Lightning ready to go and waiting for you. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, pretty much all the big ones. So check that out. And finally, if you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on X as well as Instagram. I have the same username on both. That username is DMC_Ryan. You can also email me anytime about Tesla or EV related things at teslapodcast@gmail.com. And my final item of business for this week, which I am always thrilled to do here, is to say hi and say thank you to my top tier Patreon backers. These are the extra generous folks supporting at the higher tiers of the Patreon. I will start with the Maximum Plaid crew. Big thanks goes out to Jonathan Wales, Cameron Clark, Daniel Grummer, Seth Capello, Nick and Tony, the Galpin family, Ryan from New York City, Darren Nickel, Kaz Barnes, Patrick Wisniewski, Gil Cabrera, Todd Badger, Joe Edgel, Kevin Yank, the Tesla Owners Club of San Joaquin Valley, Will Stedman, Jeremy Harris, Chris Beach, Tom Mills, Corey O'Donnell, Aaron, John Cody, Joel Sapp, Paul Casarino, Chris Osborne, KB, Adam Lavoie, Jason Chalukas, Travis Krenzel, Bruce Otterstein, Tom Behan, Josh Pennington, John from Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Dustin Hart, Derek Finley, Charles Clement, Damon Klein, Jeff Brown, Jerry Slinger, Kenneth Corbett, Brian Bertoglio, Kim Bay, Troy Sievers, Chip Hooper, Matt Chinander, Robert Moran, Rav, Christopher Mann, Michael Williams, and Eric Harbert. Next up, the Roadster in Space tier backers, who, in addition to their standing invitation to our monthly Patreon hangout on Zoom, as well as the lightning rounds and the early access and the ad-free, all that stuff, they also get a one-on-one hangout with me each month if they elect to choose it, and a number of them do, and it's always fun talking to these folks. So big hello and big thank you go out to Pete White, Lyle Austin, Steve Radspinner, Fernando Cordero, Lawton from Chicago, Sean Neidig, Neil Weaver, Jackson Wallace, Rolf and Jennifer Evers, Howard Anthony Smith, Victoria Iacovetto, Tesla Hitchhiker 42, Carol Weston, Robert from near Philly, American Home Contractors, Doug Carey, Michael Gallo, and Tony Figueroa. And last but certainly not least, the grandfathered in Plaid tier supporters. The Plaid tier is officially no more, but these kind folks continue to kindly support me at that level, and so they continue to get all of the perks they should get from that, which includes this shout out at the end of each week's podcast. So big hello and thank you to George Cassiopo, Logan Willis, Peter Chalet, Eric Randolph, Dory and Steve Guberman, the Tesla Owners Club of Taiwan, Ron Lee, Charlie Gillespie, Jeff Angwin, Chase Cabanillas, the Lydia family, Aaron Altschul, Jared Brown, Jerome Strack, Jamie Dalton, Mike and Barbara from Louisville, Matt Nixon, the Tesla Owners Club of Wisconsin, Ish, not Elon Musk in quotes, Peter, and the Bear Boys of Colorado. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of episode 546. I've had a good time this week. I hope you've had a good time listening to this one. From my currently snoozing pups, Daisy and Lily, we say happy electric motoring to all of you. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you back here next week, 1 week's time, for episode 547. See you soon.
Elon Musk, people don't like Elon Musk. The guy founded PayPal and Tesla, and people are like, yeah, but he's a troll and a bad dad. I'm like, so was mine. He did nothing to fight climate change. Also, have you been in a Tesla? Have you been in a Tesla? My buddy let me drive his Tesla. I laughed out loud at how fast it went. Been clinically depressed my entire life, on dozens of medications, in a Tesla for 13 seconds, cured forever.
I mean, I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever. That's what it's meant to be. Our goal is to make it's not exactly a car. It's actually a thing to maximize enjoyment. It's maximum fun.